Velina mai kako. To help our community better acknowledge and appreciate Hawaiian geography, history, and the people and language of this ʻāina, we explore a few of the multi-layered genealogies of our campus. We want to thank Dr. Christina Higgins and Kapua o ke Ko'olaui Ka'ulupua Adams from the Multilingual Multicultural Initiative for beginning and leading this effort, Native Hawaiian Student Services for helping to lead the first tours in 2018 at the Piko'oko'o Conference, Julius Paulo of the Mānoa Planning Department for sharing his wealth of knowledge about mapping in our campus, Kiahialaka Iowane, a former graduate research assistant with the Native Hawaiian Place of Learning Advancement Office who supported this project, and also Avis Po'ai, a former faculty specialist with the office who led the creation of our story map. This work would not have been possible without their hours of work and thoughtful contributions. Throughout this tour, you will explore some of the ili ʻāina of our campus. We will also invite you to explore the languages heard and seen, and maybe not heard and seen, and take notice of the mea kanu or plants that are being cultivated. Fun fact, did you know that Mānoa is a campus arboretum? As you take notice of the many trees, we invite you to wonder about the ones you recognize and have seen elsewhere in Hawaii. Take notice of the ones you do not recognize, too, and wonder about their names and histories. You will also hear some of the mo'olelo of our campus. We invite you to notice what's coming up for you and in your body as you hear these stories. What might be helpful in naming, unpacking, and sharing these stories with others. As you tour our campus, you may hear some of the same questions asked. We believe that repetition is some of the best medicine for changing and expanding the way we view the world and embody truth, healing, and transformation as we live and breathe on our campus. Finally, we invite you to wonder about how we tell stories that create a more complete and complex narrative of who we are as a campus community. Now, take a deep breath in and out. Please walk safely, and we hope you enjoy exploring our campus.
Velina mai kako. For this part of the campus tour, we will begin at the Campus Center complex, and you will make your way down to Kuykendall Hall, which will be directly ahead of you. Now, please carefully make your way to the top of the large staircase next to the food court entrance. You may pause this recording now, and when you get to Campus Center, hit play. Welcome to Campus Center. We invite you to take a moment now to look to your left and take in the mural along the wall of the staircase. Notice what's coming up for you. What are you drawn to in this mural? What haven't you noticed before? From your perspective, how are these images and perhaps stories represented on our campus? Are they common or are they unique in your experience at our university? Can you imagine other murals around campus? What stories do they tell to create a more complete and complex narrative of who we are as a campus community? How do such arts teach us about the mo'oku auhau and kupuna of this place? How might the lack of these types of images across campus perpetuate different isms? We invite you to consider these questions and what other wonderings are coming up for you right now. We are currently in the ili of Pili Pili. Pili Pili has many explanations in English. For example, as you learned earlier this week, Pili means to be close. It also means to be sticky. We know from Hawaiian language newspapers that the mud of this area is a clay-like mud that is fed by underground water sources, and it was eaten because of its sweet taste. It was a delicacy. So interesting, right? As you think about this yummy mud, carefully walk down the campus center staircase towards Kuykendall Hall and look all around you. Perhaps with new eyes, what do you see right now? What languages do you notice? Perhaps what languages do you hear and not hear, now or when you have walked through this area before? What else do you wonder about in terms of what is present and not present, now and over time? As you slowly and carefully walk across the campus center courtyard, perhaps you might also take in the plants and trees. What plants do you see and recognize here? Take a moment to take a deep breath in and out. notice what is coming up for you and your body, and when you are ready, walk over to Kuykendall Hall. You may pause this recording now and hit play when you get to Kuykendall. As you arrive at Kuykendall, face Mauka towards Mānoa Valley. To your left, towards Campus Center, is the ʻāina of Pili Pili. To your right, where Kuykendall sits, is the ʻāina of Puahia. And behind you, towards the law school, is the ʻāina of Pa'akea. We will practice saying these 3 ʻili names out loud and after me. Ready? Pili Pili, Puahia, Pa'akea. Great job. What might be an appropriate way to mark the intersection of these 3 ʻili ʻāina? What kind of signage would you like to see here and think would be appropriate to mark this intersection? What else are you wondering right now? Part of the mo'oku auhau of our campus is the often untold history of the intolerance of languages other than English, which is appropriate to talk about here at Kuykendall, where the current English department is located. In the 1940s, all freshmen at UH Mānoa were required to take a speech course because their way of speaking was, and I quote, distinctly different from typical American speech, which was really about the fact that they spoke Pidgin and Pidgin-influenced English. The students who failed to improve after 4 semesters were dismissed from the university, and the president at the time felt that this would motivate students who would not appear willing to change their vernacular. This history is part of the Americanization of our campus, which went hand in hand with the assimilation to U.S. continental ways of doing, speaking, and learning across Hawaii in the 40s. In the 1970s, however, the field of Creole studies began, and people started to respect all Creole languages, such as Pidgin or Hawaii Creole, after they were recognized as languages. And so, what was then described as, quote, broken English, became documented as Pidgin. In the early 2000s, the Sato Center for Pidgin and Creoles was established in honor of Charlene Sato, a professor from Eva Beach who researched Pidgin at our university. One outcome of this center and the people who worked there was the translation of the Old and New Testaments of the Bible into Pidgin. There has been at least 1 master's thesis written in Pidgin and at least 1 dissertation that we know of, ironically all from our English department. As you hear these stories, what do you notice coming up for you? This is the end of this part of the tour. If you'd like to explore another part of campus, go for it. Mahalo nui for joining us.